Welcome. This is Simply King Podcast, and this is your boy Rodney Perry King himself. And you just tuned into the Soulfully Conscious Podcast for humans, simply being humans. And today is a special one. It feels like, almost a returning of love, if you will. I actually met this young lady not too long ago, like maybe just a month and a half ago. And honestly thought it was an interesting concept of, because, I feel like I've met so many different types of podcasters over the years, and their motivations are so interesting and very different. This is one that I think is a very unique pod, but not only pod, but a business owner who truly is doing something to help a lot of people. So today, welcome the owner of Silkenn, the skincare brand, Ericka Parker. How you feeling?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was good to have you. So first off, I want to thank you again for allowing me to grace, put my little voice on your, on your podcast, Behind the Silk, if you will.
Of course, you were amazing. Your episode got a lot of good feedback. I was surprised. I didn't know what to expect, but you did great.
I'm glad. Because, when you said that I was the first man to be interviewed as of that time, yeah, I was like, all right, let's see. I hope I don't say nothing crazy, but I think I'm pretty good.
You represented them well.
I do what I can, and I love that y'all chose the clip that y'all chose, because it was funny to me when I said it. I meant it, but it's the truth, and I think that
big truth.
More people need to get into it, need to understand their bodies in a deeper way. You know what I'm saying? I get it if you might not have the tendency to do all the trial and error body hacking stuff that I think I'm into, because I be trying new supplements. I be trying new, new things just to improve my quality of life, because I can find a concoction that makes me feel good, that makes my skin better, that makes me, all those things. Oh, I'm going to do that every day. And I'm going to tell everybody about it, But
And I'm so glad that it came from man, though, because I feel like if I would have said it or another woman would have said it, it would have been a whole bashing of the genders thing. So I'm glad it came from you and not me.
Yeah, no. Dudes be dirty. And I know this, and it's funny because I've heard so many women speak to when I've said it out loud, while I'm making certain types of content, because I remember I tried to make something that was based in kind of teaching men particular things, almost kind of saying exactly what it is without directly saying it, Lily had a series that I had called King's Cooks, where I thought about just making it something, cooking content, but then I was like, I need to add another element to this. So I was like, what if I can kind of add some little, a little bit of catharsis to this, you know what I'm saying? A little bit of get you to think, And so Lily, one of the first episode was called Grits and Consent. Yeah. Ooh. So it was I kind of tied in this idea of grits and how people like grits in multiple ways, and how the kind of through line was asking, how would you like your grits? Yeah. And tying the whole message all together about, this is something that a lot of men have now complicated in this time that we live in. So it's we need more, direct situations going on. And just the conversation, if you're bold enough to desire a certain person in a certain way, you should be bold enough to say something. But that's a tangent. Back to you. So you are from the East Coast, specifically Connecticut, right? Or just New York State?
Shout out to New York. Don't disrespect me.
Look, I had to make sure.
Put some respect on New York, okay?
I think y'all got all of it. If there's anybody that give respect, it's definitely New York. Y'all got all of it, But okay, so what part of New York did you grow up?
Westchester.
Westchester.
So right above the boroughs. Most people don't know where it is. So I like to say we're right above the Bronx. We're right there.
Did you spend a lot of time in the Bronx?
I sure did. Westchester is the suburbs,
Got you.
Nice things to do. It's very calm, but that city life, that's where the outsideness takes place.
I can imagine. Okay, that's cool. I love New York. I've only been once. And but I definitely want to go back. I think I'm going back around Thanksgiving. Coming back up there around Thanksgiving. But it's a hell of a city though. I get how people can have really, real big personalities in a city like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot happening. It's a lot of stimulation. It's kind of hard to like not be like extremely multi-layered and multifaceted in a city like that. I really enjoy that. How did your upbringing in particular, because you didn't go to school too far away either, right?
Yeah, so I can't come for Connecticut completely because that is where I went to college.
Okay, that's probably what was coming up in my mind. Then that's probably what that is.
Yeah. So yeah, upbringing wise, typical like middle class family. Both of my parents worked really hard to kind of give me the lifestyle that I had. So I'm actually first generation American on my dad's side. His side is from Grenada, so I'm Caribbean American, if you will. So like that work ethic of working hard for things was like ingrained in me. So I was always an honor student. I had scholarships to every school that I went to. I've been in private school all my life. So like being able to excel in that aspect, because not us paying for your education and you acting up, that wasn't an option, so did really good in school. I was always a social kid. I went to college on a scholarship to the University of New Haven. Ooh. I decided to be super extra. I was a forensic science and pre-med double major with a chemistry minor, and I graduated a semester early.
You so Caribbean. You like Caribbean.
Yeah, really representing,
With 13 jobs.
Okay, basically. And yes, I've always had a very structured life. Okay. And yeah, I think it really kind of gave me a really good perception of the things that I wanted to do. So like I've always been like a disciplined person, but I've always been able to balance like fun and work. And I feel like that is like top tier. Like in college, I'm like typing a paper as I'm doing my makeup to go out on a Friday night, So, yeah.
I mean, I think that's interesting. And that's what you give off too, though. I don't know if you've ever been told that you don't give off this, this kind of, just surface level energy or this surface level kind of dynamic to you. And to just know that all the things that you're already into just based off, because to podcast and to run a business, a whole skincare business, that's hell of an undertaking. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's possible. I truly believe in it. I'm not one of those people who believes that everybody doesn't need a podcast. I don't think everybody deserves to, put their opinion out to the masses in that way. Because sometimes those opinions really don't matter too much. But the cream always rises to the top. And I think that it shows in who you are and what your, upbringing was, that handling something like this was something that was honestly in your range of genius, I will say that I love Caribbeans because it feels like y'all are probably the best example of like having like strong culture, particular like, outlook and values and kind of, just like overall, just kind of family values be pretty interesting,
Yeah.
But also to like not be so, so deeply indigenous, like, continental Africans, you know what I'm saying? It's like this real interesting, y'all really are like the in-between of like, stateside born Americans, Native Caribbeans, and, I don't know, it's something about that combination because y'all went through a similar thing that we went through, like ancestors-wise. You have a particular relationship with racism in a particular way, but I think that the thing that happened for Caribbeans was there was some deep pride, and connection to y'all history that was completely, that's obvious, for obvious reasons. We can't connect with our history that deeply in America.
We don't have the time for that.
Yeah, we don't really have it. We could trim around the edges and find the good spots, but it's a lot of burnt toast. Yeah. And while for so much Caribbean history, it speaks to, independence, and independence really meaning like the independence of these black people in this black space.
Yeah.
The revolutions of certain, Caribbean nations. And so it's interesting to me. I always thought that the Caribbean was dope for that reason, because it's like, it transcends, everywhere y'all go.
It does.
You can feel it, you know what I'm saying? Once you learn that about a person, it's like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense why you put all that hot sauce on it too. It does set the tone.
Oh, Grenada is the island of spice. That is what we're known for. So we do like it a little spicy.
Shit. I ain't never had a piece of fish from the side of the road in Jamaica so high in my life. I'm just like, okay. This is regular? Like, it could have got hotter than this? Okay.
Yeah.
We going somewhere. So to double major in in forensic science,
that wasn't the plan. Let's just make that clear. That was not the intent when I went to school.
Okay, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
But tell me, what was your goal at first? What was the idea around doing that double major specifically?
Yeah, so I studied forensics in high school. I had a chemistry teacher who really put me onto forensics, and I was like, oh, I love this. And then, I would binge watch all the crime shows and all those things. So it was about, exactly. So like my sophomore year of college is when I went to a college preparatory school. So like my sophomore year of high school, they're already prepping you for what you want to do in college. So I had already decided that, okay, like I want to do something in forensics. So I had went to the University of New Haven, because they have the best forensics program like on the East Coast. And I actually turned down a full ride to Princeton, fun fact, in order to go to UNH to study their forensics program. They have Dr. Henry C. Lee. If you're into the sciences, he's like a big forensics guy, and like his college is on the University of New Haven. So I was like, I gotta go. I gotta meet this guy. I gotta take his class.
Damn, he cold as hell. He got a name of his college. He got a name of a college, and he still worked there. That's crazy.
Yes,
that's crazy.
He does like one class like a year, and it's like you have to get into his class if you're into forensics. So
that's dope.
You decided to go to the University of New Haven. My primary major was forensics. By my sophomore year, my advisor was like, "Listen, like you have a lot of overlapping credits. If you take like an extra like 8, classes or so, you can have a whole nother degree in pre-med." So I was like, well, 8 classes. I was like, that's a lot. I don't know.
That's a lot.
The Caribbean in me was like, listen,
I can do it.
We can bust this out real quick.
I can do it.
We can do this. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I took a couple of summer classes. I took maybe like 2 or 3 summer classes throughout my duration. I was able to really achieve the double major. And then along with that came a chemistry minor that just was like a complimentary add-on for all the extra credits I had. So I was like, all right, perfect. So my goal was to be a forensic coroner for the FBI. That's always what I wanted to do. Post-grad, I spent some time working for the crime scene lab in Mount Vernon, where I currently live in Westchester.
Oh my God.
And it was a very humbling experience, to say the least.
Snap. Oh my God. I mean, I bet it was humbling. Were you good around, were you good around the bodies, I guess? I don't know any other way to say it. Did you get to that level? You didn't get to that part?
Yes, I did. So even before you graduate, you have to do like, similar to med school where you have a residency, like when you're taking a forensics or a pre-med course, you kind of have to go through that same kind of concept. Like you have to spend time in the morgue and you have to do an internship at, somewhere else. And, you kind of like you kind of have to go through the motions beforehand before you can even graduate with that type of degree. So the body fluids, the blood, the smells, all of that stuff, I was already prepared for. But I think what I wasn't prepared for in the real world was the sporadicness of the work. Like you can't plan when crime happens, right? So if there's like a shootout at 1 a.m., you're basically on call all the time. And I think that's where I was like, oh, we not doing this. I mean, not for me.
You would think, somebody died a day. You would think, you know what I'm saying? They died. What was the line from Paid in Full? People die every day,
every day.
So you would think. I would think if I did the same thing, I'll be like, oh yeah, it's more than likely going to be about units, maybe slower days or whatever. But I'm probably always going to be working. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be doing something. Yeah. So how did you pivot?
So I pivoted from crime scene field work to going into the toxicology lab. So I was like, all right, field work, not my thing. Let me go into the lab. It's a lot more structured. So I spent some time working in the toxicology lab. I was actually out on Long Island. And like life was good. I was enjoying it, good pay, consistent schedule, everything was good. And then this is maybe about 3 or 4 years post grad. And I just like had this feeling of like emptiness. I was like, this is great. The money's great. I'm on a great trajectory.
For sure.
My plan was to go back to medical school and, get my MD and do something amazing with that. But then I just felt like this emptiness, like I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. And I was like, I cannot see myself doing this for the next 30 years. There has to be an alternative. And I was like, I need to pivot.
I applaud you for being in that position, because I tell people all the time that because like for anybody that that has been following my story, when I left, I made an episode and kind of spoke to my journey through my exit strategy, my overall planning around getting to this entrepreneurial type of life and out of corporate America. I always tell people that it feels like, sometimes the best time to leave is when you're in your height, when the things are really going great and going good because of that space of clarity that you can get, because you are stable. And so that the feeling or the itch that you don't want to do this, or you maybe want to do more, or you just are questioning what it is that's next, I think that's the best place to be. Just because it's like, you're not in duress. It's real easy to hate your job, not have time, be tired as hell, and be like, oh, I need to do something else. I need to do something else. But when you actually, if even halfway enjoy what you got going on, then it's like, let's get into this. You know what I'm saying? Let us truly, truly tap into all of ourselves when we are all alone, stable, not stressed, all those things. What do you really want to do? And it comes to you, and it's going to keep coming to you. Like, do you really want to keep doing this? Do you really want to keep waking up and getting up and doing this? Do you really want to have these type of schedules? Like, what is it that really is going to fulfill you? And I think that's honestly the gift of, I think, our generation. If the generation prior to us, really showed what work ethic can look like and how, certain family values and sacrificing and switching up so many things, like dealing with adversity, I think is what came from a lot of our parents' generation, because they figured it out. A lot of them just figured it out. A lot of our parents' generation, really, like my mom tells me the story all the time about her going through papers and finding like her old check stubs. And she was like, in 2012, I was making $20,000. I was like, for real, Mom? And she was like, I had 2 kids. I don't know how I was.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I was like doing anything with y'all. Like, I had a mortgage. I had all this going on. I'm like, that is crazy.
Something that I think makes me very proud about our people. Like, we always figure it out at the end of the day. And, it's so hard being in a position where you're trying to find your purpose, right? Because you feel like you said, you have this itch and you just want to do something else.
Yeah.
And like, you can't really explain it to other people because it's like, it sounds crazy. It's like, hey, like I have a great paying job. I have these degrees, but I kind of like just don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's hard to explain to other people. And it's like, I feel like I have a higher calling, but I don't know what it is yet. But I know I'm not supposed to be here, but I don't know where I'm supposed to be. So it's like hard when you have these feelings internally. It's hard to explain to other people. So you really have to come to a place when you're ready to bet on yourself. Basically.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
You're probably not going to get the support that you're looking for because it doesn't make sense to anyone else but yourself.
Facts. And I think that's the hard part. That's so deep. Because once you start making a decision that's really based on you, like this might not even be a dream that you've spoken to that much to other people. You know what I'm saying? This pivot might really throw everybody off when you pivot, because it's like, hold on, you were doing what? You were doing this, and now you want to do what? You know what I'm saying? It's real big. Like, hold on, that ain't nothing you ever did. Like, I get it. You got good skin or whatever, but you trying to. What you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got this good job.
Running a business.
Yeah, you got this good job in Long Island. You know what I'm saying? Checking the blood and the fluids of people.
Exactly.
That's sometimes like a nice, good, cushy job. You feel me?
Right.
Why are you trying to mess that up? Why are you trying to shake up your life? You know what I'm saying? And accept some different version of it. But, you did it in probably the most, dramatic fashion. You started a business in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So
I have to give context to it, right? So
please.
like, I knew I was gonna leave the lab, right? So I was like, okay, bet. I didn't have a plan set out or anything yet. And then like while I was kind of in this whirlwind when I'm trying to figure out what my next move was going to be, my dad passed unexpectedly.
Oh my God.
And that just like threw everything for a loop for me.
Oh my God.
I think that situation really triggered my eagerness for entrepreneurship. Like, my dad was a hard worker. Like, this man sacrificed to make sure that I had everything that I needed.
Yeah.
And I remember when he passed, maybe like 4 days later, I was like snooping on Google and I saw they had his job listing like already posted. And like maybe before we had even gotten him in the ground, you know what I mean? Like, his job position was filled. And I was like, wow, like, this man worked for this company for how many years? And like within a week, he was literally replaced. And it's like, I think for me with entrepreneurship, I was like, oh yeah, like we are very indispensable. And like, no one's going to care about you besides you. So then there became this balance where there has to be another way where I'm not slaving for a company that I'm so replaceable.
Yeah.
And this balance of having to prioritize myself and take care of myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, all right. And maybe like 2-3 weeks after that, I literally up and quit my job no plan, living off my savings, didn't even tell anyone that I was quitting my job. I like hid it. Like when people would call me, I would like, oh, like, you know, can't talk at work, like literally kept this facade that I was still at work for like months. And I like went and just traveled. I took like 6 months off and I was like, I really just need to figure out what my next move is going to be. Like, what is my purpose? What do I want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do not recommend quitting.
Yeah.
Financial advice.
I'm only loving this because I know how it is. You know what I'm saying? It's sad.
You know,
would have been scared as hell.
But it worked itself out somehow. Yes. So like I quit and then I just found so much clarity on this little sabbatical. Like to be able to wake up what I wanted and, you know, take some time and really just think and meditate and pray and journal and brainstorm and be creative and kind of just like tap into the side of myself that I wasn't able to do for a long time because I was just so book strong. And it just opened my eyes to a whole new perspective. And that's basically where Silkenn came from. So after my 6 month sabbatical, this brings us to like January, February of 2022. So I'm like, all right, like, you know, I had my 6 months. Let me kind of, you know, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to start some type of business. But I was like, all right, let me go back to work, you know, make some more money because now my savings are basically dry.
For sure.
And let me start working to make some money so I can start my business. And then the Rona came around and like basically killed everything. So like what was supposed to be like a 6 month sabbatical became like a year and a half long, you know, just like time off period. So the timing was just hilarious to me, but whatever. It all worked itself out.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to say, and that's where, you know, Silkenn was born. So like, I knew I wanted to start a business, and then the whole self-care concept with, you know, just kind of seeing what happened with my dad and how I knew how important it is for us as people to really take the time to prioritize ourselves, because I think we get so caught up in this grind hustle culture, and it's like, that's great and there's a time and a place for that, but it's not sustainable. And throughout that journey we have to be able to prioritize time for ourselves and make sure that we are good. And that's basically what Silkenn represents.
I love that. And like more about that, because it was something that I actually like got from your website that I just really loved the way you put it. And I took this screenshot of like just the philosophy of Silkenn, you know, our philosophy, you know, that part of your, and it says that Silkenn is a brand built with intention. Here are the principles we consider daily, you know, kindness. And then you gave these like great, like, you know, little blurbs about them too, kind of incorporating into your thing. And I just want to share it with everybody, but kindness, to be kind to oneself, to others, and to the environment. Inclusion, to create a platform for all shades and hues to feel represented while creating solutions that center a wide range of skin concerns. Transparency, to be transparent about our products, pricing, values, business practices, sustainability, and impact. And I think that those, you know, 5 things, I don't know, they really resonated with me in terms of like a new company. You know, and I think that it's a great trend and a great, you know, foundation to base so much off of, because I think it's such a, you know, just some like theater now to kind of put out these really lofty missions and goals and standards and culture for companies these days, you know, and a lot of them don't hold it up. You know what I'm saying? Plenty of them don't. Yeah, you know, plenty of them will sit there and say, we'll give you great service, and then they're one of the worst. You know what I'm saying? But it seems like you really were able to really meditate on exactly what you wanted your company to, you know, to represent and exist in. And I really love that, because I think that just what you exude, and just to also get that beautiful story you just told about how you got to this point, it all makes sense how you are here now, you know? So what is it about, first tell me about the name. How'd you come up with the word? How'd you come up with the name of the company? And what was the first kind of lesson that you learned in starting your company?
Yeah, so I was looking up words that just kind of represented, I guess, where I was, you know, and I think is also a representation of like the generation that we're in. So I was looking for words that kind of go with like soft and lustrous and relaxed. And, you know, I was just looking for words that really just like emulated that, because that's just kind of the space that I was in. You know, I was kind of like taking a step back from that grind perspective and really trying to focus on my soft era, if you will. It sounds cliche, but I guess that's what it would be called now. And, you know, And so I was looking up all these words and it came up with like silk. And I was like, ooh, like I love that. But like silk just sounds so basic.
Yeah.
So I just started playing around with words and then like Silkenn kind of just became what it was. Silkenn with two N's because like me and my dad have, I'm named after my dad. So both of us have the same initials, Edric Nathaniel and Ericka Nicole. So I put the two N's for Nathaniel and Nicole. And I just felt like that was a cute way to honor him.
Girl, I did not know that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
And you know, everybody will be too proud to be named after their daddy. So that's a good thing to hear. For real. Yeah. And that's so cute. Yeah. Look, name of Ericka.
It's better than what they wanted to name. It's better than what they wanted to name me.
What they wanted to name
They were going to go with like Amber or something like that. And I was like, I just don't see myself as an Amber. I don't know.
I get that.
No
I get
shade
that,
to Amber. But
no shade to Amber.
This is my vibe. Yeah.
Ambers are interesting, you know? Ambers are interesting. I get that. But I love that, you know, you decided to get into, you know, step your hands into this. Was it what was the first kind of like, I guess, hard or interesting lesson that you learned once you started the company?
Oh, biggest lesson, you have to be careful who you trust. Like trust is a huge thing. So like, in the beginning, I made a lot of novice business mistakes. I've lost a lot of time. I've lost a lot of money.
I think that's a given.
That's real. Yeah. Like, so spending money on like bad manufacturers and like partnering with agencies before I was ready who made all these big promises. And, you know, it was a very humbling experience to say the least.
I got you.
So I think I have, you know, really become a lot more experienced in my entrepreneurial journey where like there's just certain criteria that I look for. I'm okay with saying no or passing on opportunities. I'm a lot more conscious of the people that I do business dealings with. And also understanding that not everyone's you are going to have the best interest of your company at heart at all times. And not everyone is going to share that same sentiment.
Facts.
So that's been huge.
Facts. Would you say, because I think that, you know, this is my last kind of specific Silkenn question. I think that so much you can say about like, you know, the market of today in terms of beauty and beauty products and all these various things. What made you still very motivated to create, you know, a skincare product and a skincare line, if you will, in a space where it's so many things? Like we have, you know, almost 100-year-old, you know, makeup and beauty companies and all these various things. Like there's these giants that are part of this industry that take up so much space, and there's definitely a blooming, you know, independent, you know, you know, goods makers that are like really kind of, you know, taking charge and kind of, you know, taking up more of the market share. What was it for you that motivated you to see the space as something that you still deserve to be in and that feel like you need to fill in the space that you were kind of meant to be in?
That's so funny. I love that you asked this because like that was one of the main pushbacks that I got from people like family and friends when I said I wanted to start a skincare brand. It's like, oh, there's so many other brands out there. How are you going to compete? Blah, blah, blah.
You ain't Noxzema.
And right, you know, like they have so much more support and backing than you. They're going to crush you. Yeah. And my response was, you know, can't nobody do it like me. Like no one has my story. No one has my vision. No one these brands don't have the same things that I bring to the table. So it's not even a competition because we're in completely separate lanes. If that's just the way that I think about it, you know, and I think there's been a very big rise in indie brands, especially with the millennial and Gen Z generation, because I think that, you know, we as a generation are tired of like, you know, big name brands who don't really have our best interests at heart, where people like us are not represented at the top and they don't make decisions that are in our best interest. Yeah. And we really want things that really cater to our needs and wants. And we want to purchase from companies who share our same values, who take the time to listen to their consumers. And I think that's where small, independent indie brands really thrive.
Yeah.
And I think that was really my motivation. It's because like I know that my story is a shared story with so many other people, with trying to find our purpose and figure out what we want to do and trying to prioritize ourselves and dealing with all these other things. Like I was like, I know I can't be the only person dealing with this. And where Silkenn came from was from a space of just trying to help, basically. Yeah. And for me, throughout my my struggles and, you know, like my grief and finding myself and all of these things, like skincare was just like a consistent thing for me. Skincare was something that helped me reset and kept me grounded and allowed me to be intentional. And I was just like, if skincare can do this for me, then I'm sure creating some type of routine with skincare can help other people do the same thing. So, there was a lot of thought that went into our branding and our messaging and our formulation to make it inclusive and like all these other things. And the way that I wanted to create the brand in a way where, we can have a very tight knit community and, I can really hear what people have to say and listen to them and be extremely engaged and hear their stories. And, there was just so much that went into it that I know that these big brands couldn't provide because they just don't have the capacity to, based on the way that they execute their brand plan. So I knew that made me different, and I kind of just rolled that until the wheels fall off, and that's still what we're doing today.
I mean, kudos to you. I appreciate you giving me that answer because I think it's it feels like you were ready for it. That was so goddamn presidential. That's so dope, girl. I swear. I was sitting there like, damn, she really answered the fuck out of this question. Like, I got to tell her that. But no, for real, I think that that's beautiful because I think that so many people need to understand that to do any business, to do anything, you have to understand what your overall individualized competitive advantage for your company, firm, brand, whatever is, because there is some level of individualism with all these things. You have to imitate and emulate are both still actions. You don't just start that way. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Like you don't start a carbon copy of something else. You have to actively try to be a carbon copy of something else. So that means there are choices to be made, that can be truly original and based on your own inspiration, or truly just grabbing and taking everything that you see around you, trying to create the best Frankenstein product, that kind of appeals to everybody. Is this catch-all that maybe still is hard to push. I really do love what you said about, self-care being something that was, truly a steady routine thing that kind of aided your self-care. Because I think it was it does the same thing for me. I know that if I'm off, if my skin's breaking out or if I'm off of my routine in any way, that always is the best indicator for me, especially when those times are, when you're just in the the monotony of life. You're in your rhythms, you're working, you're going, doing all your things, and you realize like, dang, I really haven't, tended to myself in the same way. Like, damn, when the last time I masked? When the last time I ain't done this in a minute. I used to be on a roll, mask on Wednesdays and Sundays, do this, do that. Like I used to have a whole little thing just in my head, it was like clockwork. But the fact that I can't even remember the last time, and like, how long has it been this way? It makes you, have this real internal check with yourself, like, oh, okay, how am I feeling? What am I not really acknowledging right now? And I think all that just helps. Our skin
really communicates with us. I think people don't realize that. Like when you break out in certain places, or based on the way that your skin is reacting to certain things, like your skin will tell you when your body's off. If you're not eating right, if you're not drinking enough water, if you're not working out the way that you're supposed to, your skin will tell you. And I think it's a great place to start if you're trying to figure out a self-care routine.
I agree. Go get some Silkenn, y'all. You heard it here first. Heard it here.
Absolutely.
You heard it here first. But to stay on the conversation of, overall kind of like the beauty industry and the beauty and like also beauty culture, I think that we live in a real interesting time today where basically we have this. I think everybody probably thought that, the idea of beauty standards was, at its peak. We have supermodels. We have people getting paid for looking good. We have people that are being prioritized in some way, shape, or form because of their aesthetic. All these various things. High fashion, so on and so forth. But then social media came out. And I think it created another layer of something that nobody really thought about in terms of, seeing yourself in like, I can only imagine the like degree of like diagnosed like body dysmorphia that we could probably like connect to like the initiation of all these different, of all these social medias. And, because I can imagine that's what like magazines and these particular ads have probably did in small doses over, the span of so many decades. To everybody, it's really put this idea that this is what looks good and this is what doesn't. And it's different from country to country, culture to culture, but it's still a thing. Yeah. I think that with social media, it's now became this almost global, idea of like, this is what the most beautiful person looks like. And if the closer you are to that is who you are. And the crazy part about it is it's such of a a hodgepodge of things, like in terms of conversation. It's unfortunately crossing intersections that nobody really thought it would, from the idea of blackfishing to the idea of, what is up with this, peculiar level of tanning and all these various things to give a certain look, not even touching the plastic surgery element of culture. It. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's so many things, even just the return back to a smaller frame, like that being the one that's in style now, and not just like the bodacious body. It's like, oh, so you really, if this is the game you in, this is for life. You got to be ready to switch it up like your hair.
Switch it up at any time.
What would you say is the impact, or how do you consider that when it comes to Silkenn in yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like how you consume these things, because it's a difference to kind of already have a strong mind and kind of already think of yourself, but this is your business, so you kind of got to interact with the idea of like how people are seeing beauty and what they need, and how your company plays a role in that, right?
Absolutely. So I have such a love-hate relationship with social media. I feel like it has become such a very interesting place, right? Because we can't lie that social media doesn't have an effect on beauty standards and our perception of like what's trending, so to speak, right? Like we have to acknowledge that for what it is. Yeah. And it's unfortunate that we have, some of these bigger players in the game who really craft this representation of what beauty looks like, the Kardashians, right? And this trend of like what rapper baby mama culture, you know what I mean? Like, it's especially real. As women, like we have these role models or influential figures that really set the tone for what beauty looks like. But that's would be the negative side, right? Like all of the things that come with these false body images, because perfection doesn't exist, right? Yeah. But then we have this flip side where we have this authenticity that social media allows us to have, right? And it allows us to build connections, and everyone has a platform now to share their story and speak their truth. Yeah. So I feel like we've also seen a shift in like this desire for authenticity. For sure. I feel like that's why TikTok did so well when it came out, right? Like people were hopping on TikTok with like bonnets and robes and whatever on, just chatting their stuff.
I literally said it in the consultation yesterday. I was like, TikTok, you can literally blow up on TikTok wearing your bonnet every day is what I said.
Exactly. So it's so true. So like, it's like this double-sided coin where it can come with all these negatives if you're not aware with what you're feeding yourself, and if you are struggling to figure out your identity and who you are as a person, right? Because if you know who you are and you know what you stand for, you know what your values and beliefs are, you know it kind of gives you a little shield against like a lot of the media that's perpetuated on social media. So that would be like like the negative side. But like when you have this new thing of like authenticity and all of these things that people are craving, it really creates a very unique opportunity, right? And that's how I look at it in regards to Silkenn. We now have a platform where we can really showcase the diversity and the authenticity and all of these things that we stand for, right? So, not airbrushing our models and photos, right? And showing transparent, real skin looks like. I'm big on that. Like, that's a big thing for me, like highlighting real skin. Yes. Real skin has texture, real skin has acne, hyperpigmentation, all of these things. Yeah. And that doesn't need, because it's real. Like, that's real. Like, is my skin doing better now than it was before? Absolutely. But I still get flare-ups. I still get pimples. I still have skin concerns that I have to deal with. And I feel like that's where Silkenn really thrives, is this balance between authenticity and what we perpetuate on social media and in our brand identity and our image and what we stand for. And we're also able to take it a step further by creating formulas that are cater to common skin concerns, right? So we're helping you on your skin. We're not telling you to hide your skin, right? But we're here to help you along your healthy skin journey. Facts. And, Silkenn is very of the external beauty, which I love. And then we were able to complement that on social media with the podcast, with Behind the Silk, where we're able to have these deeper conversations about inner beauty and wellness and how all of these things tie back into the main concept of what beauty really looks like from a surface level and going more than skin deep.
Girl, you are so presidential. I swear, I love this. I love this about you. You going so far in life because it's so good. This is just so great. You know what I'm saying? Because I love language. I love conversation. But you are certainly a natural at communicating exactly what you want to say. So I'm really enjoying this conversation in a real like nerd podcasty conversational type way. But I feel you though, because like I think that it's an interesting time, and I've like had so many conversations because I have, a very large, follower base that is women, it's been a question that's been asked to me 1,000,001 times. Like, you know, all various different types of questions. Well, how do you feel? You know, honestly, I usually don't ask men this, but you seem like a man that would be able to answer this question. Natural or like natural hair? How do you feel? And like plastic surgery, BBLs, what do you feel? Do you think that's, you know, it's for the male gaze? Do you think it's for the whatever? And like, I've finally gotten to a space in communication and dialogue where I know where I got a dog in the fight and I know when I don't. That's the first thing. And I think that's a hard place for a lot of men and certain privileged individuals, depending on, you know, whatever the reason that you're more privileged than a person is, that'd be money, whatever. We got to get to a space where it's like, either I don't know enough or it won't matter to me either way.
Yeah.
Like nothing will happen. And I think for me, that is something that I had to really get to when it comes to this conversation, because the fact of the matter is I love black women. I love black women in all the variety that they have and how they can show up. But I think that I understand that that's not a love that they feel all the time. That's not a love they see all the time. And that's something they need to be reaffirmed in and reminded about. I understand those things. And like, I think it took, I don't know if you're familiar with The Grapevine, the show The Grapevine, but shout out to, you know what I'm saying, Ashley and Donovan, because they did such a great work with that. And it was an episode where they talked about BBL culture and body image and various things like that. And it was something that was said that was a perspective I never thought about. And it was just like, we can't judge someone's version of self-love for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta really genuinely take what people are saying. That's why there's so much defensiveness in the idea of, like, you know, how they see themselves and what they would like to see in the mirror. Yeah. So them making that choice, it might feel like, you know, it's questionable and controversial to everyone else, but they actually really may feel a lot happier about themselves. And we got to give space for that. And also give space if they like, you know what? My ass before was cool too. We got to give room because it's like, it's their choice, it's their body, you know?
And that's why I'm a big advocate of just like solo time. You know, I feel like we're just bombarded with like information and content and people all the time, where when I ask people like how often do they just sit in silence, it's astonishing how many people don't take the time to do that. And it's even more astonishing to me where there's a lot of people who have admitted to like being afraid to sit in silence. And I did an episode about this towards the beginning of the podcast where someone was sharing, you know, like they don't enjoy sitting in silence because their thoughts scare them. You know what I mean? Like the thought of them sitting in silence and just like sitting with their thoughts scares them. And I was like, wow, like that is just so deep. And that runs so much deeper than anything else I could even think of, because, you know, and it's true. And it's because we're not used to it, you know, and this was a younger woman, and, you know, I'm a cusper, like Gen Z millennial. I fall somewhere in the middle there. But like, you know, I still grew up in an era where, you know, I still grew up in an era where, like, you know, like we played outside and we did these things and technology wasn't the main focus. So I still was raised in a time where it was okay to sit in silence. And now we have this new generation who only knows technology and who only knows social media. And they're constantly bombarded with all of this information and thoughts of how they should perceive themselves and how the world perceives them and all this other information that we didn't really have, you know, that same type of battle growing up. So understanding that we're in a different season, right? Our battles are different. The things that we're struggling with are different. And because we have all this access to information and money and, you know, all of these things, it becomes hard to just stick to one thing. So I may have wanted a BBL, you know, 5 years ago, and I may have gotten it, you know, but now, you know, 6 years down the line, I'm not really for it. So I may have gotten my implants removed or taken some fat out, you know, where I thought it was before. So like, you know, we're in this era of just like trial and error, and you try, you fail, you figure it out, and you give grace to people along the way. And that's really it. And
I think that, you know, people need to be given the space to, you know, grow into whatever ways that they want to grow. And I think it says more about, you know, the people who continuously question it than the people who are just going out there and getting something done that they want to get done, you know? Self-improvement is interesting, and it shows up in a lot of ways. And just self-love is something that is a true journey, and not just something that you figure out and you'll never have to do again once you figured it out. You have to continue to evolve with it.
I think a lot of people miss that. I think that's huge.
Huge.
It's an ever going process. Like I know people who are like, oh, like, well, when I figure it out, I'll be able to make this decision or make this business move. And I'm like, baby, you will never have it figured out.
Facts.
Like, you will not.
Facts. I thought of, like, in terms of beauty culture, I think that the battle is, the idea of vanity and vainness, and I think that for a lot of people who may not even understand the difference in the two, because they probably maybe hear those spoken in the same way, I'll give you a little definition. Vanity is the excessive pride of admiration in one's appearance, abilities, or achievements. It can also refer to dressing a table or bathroom cabinet with a mirror. Vain, on the other hand, means having an excessively high opinion of oneself or one's appearance, abilities, or achievements, which feels like, very similar things, and I think it's a modality thing, like what energy or what, kind of polarity are you kind of speaking about yourself and speaking or showing up in a particular way for, what I'm saying? Because vanity and vanity can be this attention and this true like standard that you set for yourself. Like, you want your skin to look well, you want your nails and your feet to stay done, you want to appear in this certain way because it makes you feel good. It does something for you to know that you're catering to yourself in this way. And I think anybody and everybody can say that there's been a moment in time where you've like put that shit on, where you went, got that, either got your hair cut, got your hair done, nails done, did whatever you needed to do for whatever it is that you needed to go. If it's something special or just whatever, vacation, especially vacation. I think everybody realized, like, damn, I might need to do this a little bit more often. Like, I'm on my shit, Hence why we have so much courage and feelings and desire when we do put that shit on. Like, it's like, I'm about to pull something real nice up in here. Right. I'm about to get all this attention. I'm about to get, about to buy me some drink. Matter of fact, get me some drink. I'm feeling good. You know what I'm saying?
Tabs on me.
All that, and I think that is by due to, your vanity. And I think vainness is more so, this extra scoop that's past necessary, It's like, look, ain't nobody said that you ugly, but like, okay, you cute. Yeah. So what? It's like you really pushing it to us. I'm not sure if that's something that you also have to consider with your own, how you deal with yourself and how you communicate with these things. Because I think that Black women, especially out of any demographic, have to deal with this idea of vanity and vainness all the time. Mm-hmm. Like, where is it coming from? Is this motivated within yourself or outside, or just outside influences that really are starting to get pressurized? You know what I'm saying? So what would you say about the idea of kind of that like, polarizing aspect of vanity and vainness?
Yeah, so I have a little different perspective on that. So I think that vain falls under the category of vanity. Right?
Okay.
I feel like vanity is like a very like broad spectrum, right? Vanity is like, it can be like what in regards to like your looks or money. It can come from like a narcissistic or selfish place, And I feel like that's where like the umbrella of vanity comes from.
I feel that.
Under that umbrella, I feel like you have like a leg, which is like the vain portion where like you're just focused like in regards to your looks. That's solely focused on that aspect. And I think you made a key point where I think it really depends on the place that you're coming from, right? Because like, for example, there's like a lot of like TikTok or social media people now who they do like these challenges where like they go out and they just like give strangers money and they like record it, right? And then they post it on social media. Some people, and it's this very polarizing conversation. I'm not giving my perspective on whether I think it's wrong or right, but I think people in the comments especially question where that comes from, right? Mm-hmm. Is it like like you're trying to do something nice for someone, or is it because you want notoriety on social media?
Yeah.
And I feel like that same concept transfers over to like vanity and
that makes sense.
Like, where's the place that it's coming from? If you're like doing, even in regards to plastic surgery or beauty, like if you're doing things to please other people or to get approval from other people, that's a completely separate conversation than you sat with yourself and you've realized that you're genuinely unhappy with this one portion of yourself, and you would feel so much better if you can just change this one thing. Like two totally different conversations. And I think where Silkenn lies is like, that really figuring out the things that you want to do for yourself. And you touched on like, women needing affirmation and to be reassured and all of these things, which is very true because we have these like, kind of polarizing conversations in regards to like beauty and beauty standards. So, to kind of bring it full circle, you have to really start from within and really spend that alone time to figure out where you stand, who you are, what makes you happy, what makes you feel good. Because when you feel good, and whether it be like looks or you feel secure in whatever your situation is, you walk in a completely different space.
Facts.
You sit a little taller, you walk different, you
Facts.
communicate different, and like I said, that just comes from a completely different place. Like you're operating out of a different space, and that makes you like untouchable.
Superhuman.
Yeah.
I think another element to this particular conversation is the idea of the male gaze and the female gaze. Because I think that when it comes to beauty, I think that the reason why I'm so intrigued by it is because I think it's interesting how beauty is marketed to men. It's damn near not even called beauty to men. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of just men's stuff. Like men's, it's just men's. You know what I'm saying? EMN. Apostrophe S. It's just men's. That's where you get you have the beauty section over here, and there's men's over there. We got it all in. You got your deodorant, you got your aftershave, got it all over there in that
this
corner.
Is your aisle.
There you go. Just
aisle.
go.
That's it.
Get your razor, deodorant, and body powder in the same section. While you have like literal like I was literally in Target yesterday. You literally have the Ulta section and then a whole Target beauty section. Very, very like intentionally well lit. You know what I'm saying? Mirrors everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Little try-ons, all types of shit. And I think that it's interesting that because I do believe that men have this self-consciousness. And I do think that there are a lot of things that don't get spoken of enough. And I think that's why so many men project that idea that women get surgery and so many things for them. Because I think actively as men, we choose a lot of things to do outside of ourselves for other people. It's like I'm gonna work out because I know women gonna like this. I'm gonna choose this type of car because I know women gonna be impressed by this. The gaze is like men seek out the female gaze to validate something really deeply or not even that deeply about themselves. You know what I'm saying? To prove that they're attractive, to prove that there's desire for them, to lift up their esteem in some way, shape, or form because there's some type of action and energy and and vibes around them. While on the other hand, I think it's validation for different reasons. Because I think we live in a definitely male dominant world. So it's kind of like getting some type of approval, getting a particular level of approval is always this kind of like battle, this push and pull. Because I think I see it all the time where women certainly will stand on their, on their independence, on their various, things that they can control, their autonomy and all these various things. But at the end of the day, it's like, but I kind of want a man to I want a nigga to slide in my DMs. Like, I want a nigga to, I do want a mother, like, it's been a minute. Yeah, it's been a minute since a nigga told me I was fine. Like, what the fuck am I? I'm off, I've seen that. Like, y'all, women need to know they still got it. You know what I'm saying? Because to be undesirable does impact y'all differently than for men. Like men actively desire it as this ego stroke, you know what I'm saying? While it feels a little bit more, kind of like almost an emotional soothing for women to like hold on, like niggas really ain't checking for me like that no more. Damn, like what's going on?
I'm offended. I'm offended.
You know what I'm saying? It's that like conversation of the value of a man being based in his income and the value of a woman being based in her beauty. I think that's where that comes in and why that weighs differently. But I think that, these two ideas are so intriguing. I think that, to me, men actively are doing things for the male gaze and female gaze at a particular level. But I do believe, because of the country and society we live in, women have to do a little bit more heavy lifting with that. But tell me what your perspective is on that idea of male and female gaze.
Absolutely. Like we can't ignore that the beauty standards for men and women are completely different. But on the contrary, like I think that like the male and women gaze is very interesting because I feel like even like when you're going out and you're dressed up to go out or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Men dress for the attention of women, right? So men typically wear, something like, flashy or clean or smell good, which you should, you know what I mean? So like men get dressed up for the attention of men. And ironically enough, I think women get dressed up for the attention of women, not even men. And I could be wrong. But even like, for example, if I'm out, right, and my man is like, oh, like, babe, you look so good. I'm like, oh, thank you, thank you. But let me go out and a strange female walk up to me like, girl, you look so good. I'd be like, oh,
yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like it means a little more because it's like she knows the process of what it took to get here.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think men don't really understand the full process. Like, oh, like, you know, she's got her little hair and a little makeup on.
Yeah,
like,
you know what I'm saying?
That's cute.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think men understand to the depth that went into this. You know, this female might be like, oh my gosh, like I can see her contour and her highlight. Oh, and those are wand curls and there's some hairspray there. And like, because we understand the process more, we come from like a different level of appreciation.
Facts.
So, you know, it's like men dress up for the attention of women, but like women dress for the attention of like men and women, so to speak. So that just adds like the weight of the beauty standard because it's like we're trying to look good for everybody.
Facts.
You know?
Facts. You know what I'm saying? You want a compliment when you wear them tabbies outside. You know what I'm saying? You put them tabby boots on.
You know?
You want somebody to recognize these. Because your boyfriend was checking them like, girl, why you got this little, you know, you got this split between your toes.
It's like, I think I look cute.
Right? I think that, you know, that's kind of how I thought about it forever. And I think that it's an interesting thing because I think that a lot of men need to understand that they need to do more for themselves and want more for themselves in terms of how they care for themselves because it benefits you first. you staying up on your, you know, your person having a high standard with your personal hygiene means that you're going to have a higher standard with your personal health and wellness. It means you're going to have a higher standard on like how that looks and how that shows up because now you want to protect that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you are drinking water and you are doing all these things and your body feeling a certain type of way, you want to make sure that everything else looks good externally too. Let me get a haircut. Let me get this. Let me make sure all these things are staying together. You know, and I think that it's unfortunate that, especially for men, that it's became like a judgment on your character to care about your, you know, your hygiene and care about the standards of how you show up in those aesthetic ways. Like it's terrible. It's sad. You know what I'm saying? Like because it's like you should care.
I don't want to cut you, but I think that's very interesting. Primarily because like we know that this self-care movement is very new for men, right? Self-care, beauty, all of these things have always been marketed to women traditionally, but now we have this like rise of men actually caring about what they look like. Like for example, like back in the day, like you know, men worked. You were the breadwinner. Yeah, that was your main thing. So as long as you had a haircut and you could go to work, that was fine.
That was it.
Your nails may be messed up, hands oily, all cracked, feet not looking right. You know what I mean? Like all toe up from the flow up, not drinking water the way that you should, not eating well, snacking during the day. I feel like that was okay back then. Yeah. Right. But now we have transitioned into this space where I don't want to say men want to be more soft because that's not what I'm trying to say.
No. You can use those words though, because I think that is technically what it is.
Offended.
No, I get what you mean. Look, I don't give a damn because you. That's the only way I would describe it too. It's like because it's what you're doing is, you know, a matter of like showing compassion to yourself, like nurturing yourself in some way, shape, or form. So you got to slow down. You got to care about the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's certain things that you're gonna have to do and pay attention to that aren't quote unquote seen as manly. You know what I'm saying? Like checking your skin in particular ways, buying particular products, you know, like just being in front of the mirror. Yeah, just being in front of the mirror for a certain amount of time. Like men don't check out themselves that often. They don't sit there and get, you know, all deep in and try to, you know, get something out. They might do that to shave and then they brush your teeth. And then after they back out the mirror, you know what I'm saying? But like tending to yourself, caring about those things, they've made it into something else, and I think that's on purpose. I think it's a matter of like, how can we keep men in this box of, you know, low emotionality, low expression, all those various things. I think it's just social engineering. If they care about their face, they care about their body, they care about their wellness, they care about their mind, they're gonna probably make better decisions over time if they care that much. So let's just take all that shit away. Let's just let's call it gay. That's what gay men do.
Exactly.
They care about their skin. They care about this part of them. That's not what that's feminine. That's don't do that. You know what I'm saying? You need to just get the little, you know, dial soap Hit it with that. Wash your face with Dove. Wash your face with Dove. Put Queen Helene cocoa butter lotion on your face and get out the house and go build a house. You know what I'm saying? That is all you need to do as a man. You feel me? And it's like, none of this feels good though. None of this feels right. None of this is nurturing to who you are. Because I feel good about how I do my things. And like, I noticed that that's usually what it is. It is a softening. When I have, like I said on your pod, like when my friends come over and they see what's in my cabinet, or they see what I got going on, if they stay with me the whole day, they're gonna see me do things to be like, damn, why you do that? Why you do this? Why you do that? Why you going and buy this? Yeah. How often do you do this? Why do you have this? Like I had a guest over and she was just like, damn, like this might sound weird, but where you get your water from? I was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I think I talked to you about that. So it's like just being selective about these things, because it's like, I care. I care about my body. I care about these, like how my body is gonna like show up in the world. So why wouldn't I and I care about it from me first. And if it does, do something for the male gaze in terms of me getting respect, or people treat me a certain type of way, like, oh, who this dude? You know what I'm saying? And if it does from the female gaze, like make me more attractive, cool. But understand, I did it for me. And like you can enjoy it, spectate it, whatever. But at the end of the day, I did this shit for me first. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that goes, I think that goes back to like what we were saying before, even about women. Like when you feel good about yourself, and you look good, you feel good, you operate from a different space. Yeah. And when you have a man that's taking care of himself and he looks good, he feels good, it allows him to kind of slow down and take that, deeper level of now, checking on his emotional intelligence and his spiritual intellect and all of these other things that create him into this like new person. And I think for some people that's threatening, right? Yeah. Because like, for example, at least as a female, when you're, dating a man or you're with a man whose sole purpose is to provide, you don't have to go deep, and work on traumas and try and become a better person of yourself. We both have our roles and we get it, right? But then when you have a man who's emotionally intelligent, who's going to question you and challenge you, some people may find that threatening. Yeah. I think that's why there's this agenda against, men, stay that way. Being able to, exactly, because it can be a scary thing. Yeah. It changes the gender dynamic that we've conceived in our minds, and it challenges these societal norms. Yeah. I don't think people are ready for it.
But it's the reason why so many women be unfulfilled when they get a person on paper that has everything they need. Like this man is showing up in, this very patriarchal provider, protector type of way, which is like just the standard for you. Then also he may have this great personality. Cool. But there's a certain level of like, just lack of depth that you can't get to with him, because he's just figured out a way to just kind of just exist and show up in that particular level of value, and that's it. And now you're trying to figure out why y'all are not getting deeper, why you don't care about all these serious things that are, kind of coming up as, this is the time. You guys been together for a year. Y'all haven't started trying to make no babies. Y'all haven't started doing this, whatever. And you realize like you haven't gotten enough out of him to feel like you can go deeper with him. And it's been that way the whole time. You know what I'm saying? But you was riding the wave. You was riding that wave. It was lit. Y'all was going on cute trips, you know what I'm saying? Doing your thing. Feeling like from outside looking at everybody was like, you're living the dream, girl. But
you're unfulfilled.
And I can understand the shame in being like, hey, I kind of don't like my man. And like they be like, you ungrateful. Yeah. Like you got one of the good ones, you did this, you did that. But it's because I think that because men are, lacking in emotionality, that it then puts this interesting like responsibility or opportunity for women to now control the levels of emotionality in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? If a woman is not wanting to get that deep and wanting to kind of stay close to the surface and like, let's say just play games. That man is not going to push her past that. He might actually like her. He don't want her to date other people, all that, but he's not going to hate though. He's not going to play he going to let you, going to be like, nah, you single, you do whatever you want to do. In the back of his mind, he's like, nah, I really want to be with you. You the only one I'm really fucking around on right now. And so, but I ain't about to tell you to calm that down, because it's only been 3-4 months type shit, But for you, it's like you already have made it up in your mind. Like, I like him, but I don't want to. I'm not trying to put more into this. I'm not trying to put more emotionality into this, because then what if he give it back? I don't know if I can handle it if he give it back to me. And so there's a picking and choosing on that. And I think that's an interesting thing. But I think we deserve as men and women to be able to meet people that we feel genuinely emotionally compatible with, and that we can reach a different level of depth with each other, because that's what's going to make it last. That's what's going to make all things make sense in the end. You know, it's not going to make sense.
Romantic or platonic relationships.
That's everything.
Friendships, family, everything. You know, we have to go deeper. And I was talking to a friend about this the other day, you know, how like I feel like this surface level concept has become so normalized because like social media in particular has made it seem that, you know, building deeper connections is bad, right? It's toxic culture, you know, hurt, all this thing. Like toxicity is being perpetuated so heavily nowadays, you know? And it's like, how do we kind of reel it in and kind of get back to the foundations, you know, get back to the roots of things, you know, where we're nurturing and culturing and fostering healthy, mutually beneficial relationships. Because like we as humans, we were literally built for community. So it's just, how do we get back there? That's a great fundamental question.
How do we, and I think, you know, it, like I said, it starts with you. And I think that you are doing a hell of a job in getting people, presenting something to people for them to tend to themselves and get into themselves. You know what I'm saying? I got to put my order in, by the way. I got to do that today. Because I want to get some Silkenn going, you know what I'm saying? But no, let us get into this last segment I like to call the Send It On. Right now, you should be able to hear a little bit of, you know, the sounds of D'Angelo in the background.
I do.
My send it on for today is a skincare question yet again. What is a skincare tip that changed your life? I'm gonna give you one too.
Ooh, that changed my life. So I have two because they go hand in hand.
Okay.
One is detoxing your skin. I talk about it all that time. That's why we have the mask.
Come on.
People don't detox their skin regularly enough. You know, we're in like polluted air, we're not eating right, all of these things. Detoxing your skin, top tier. Second one, chemical exfoliants instead of like physical exfoliants. Like I remember when like St. Ives was like the trend and people used
that oatmeal,
rock filled, exfoliants in it. Physical exfoliants, not good for the skin. They do a lot more damage to your skin barrier than any good. So stick to like a light chemical exfoliants that really help your skin barrier on a chemical level, not just like something abrasive and physical.
Yeah. Okay. Mine is probably even simpler than both of those. It's not even that technical. But I love that though. And I think it was washing my hands before I wash my face.
Oh, huge.
And I don't know, and I like it may be common sense to a lot of people, but I don't think I was actively thinking about it in that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, if I'm about to touch my face, and also going hand in hand with that, not touching my face as much. You know, like after the wash, after I've just applied some sunscreen, literally allow my face to just be for the rest of the day, instead of like forever tapping myself or having any type of, really being disciplined and like not having to touch my face for any reason. Also not letting somebody else touch your face, but washing your hands whenever you do anything, before you mask, if you're, doing any type of like, hair removal or trimming, any of those things, make sure that if you about to touch your face, to disinfect your hands. Cause that alone can like lead to so many different things. You don't know what you get into. You don't know what's under your nails. You don't know. And then you get a breakout and you're trying to figure out if it was something you ate, whatever. No, it was topical. It was you put something that wasn't supposed to be there on it, and like it sat, and it was what it was. Because things go away, things need to be reapplied, all those different things. So I appreciate
bacteria is invisible, so you won't be able to see it. Like I think people don't realize that. Like you don't see like bacteria and stuff like that. It just happens to be there. So that's great.
That's so good. I appreciate that. That was a good one. And a nice little product placement. I like that. So please, Ericka, let everyone know exactly where they can follow you, how they can keep up with you, where they can purchase some Silkenn products, all the things.
If you want to learn more about Silkenn, you can go to silkennco.com. That's SILKENNCO.com. And you can follow us on Instagram at SilkennCo. And if you want to take things a step further and follow the podcast at Behind the Silk Pod on Instagram. And we just have conversations about beauty, self-care, wellness, and becoming the best version of ourselves. And if you have any interest in me, you could follow me at the Ericka Nicole.
Come on.
And I think that's everything.
You are a natural girl. I swear I am a fan. I am truly truly a fan. You can see all of these things to stay in touch with Ericka as well as Silkenn in the description of this episode. I truly appreciate you for giving me your time, girl. I like this exchange we got. This is a great, you know what I'm saying, meeting of the minds that we just did. You know, shout out to was it Podmesh that I think you guys found me on.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah,
Podmesh done brought me some good people. I ain't gonna hold you. Done brought me some good folks.
They do a little something.
They do a little something. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. And I really do believe that you're doing something that's really great work and that's really creative as hell, having really dope conversations with really dope people about a lot of things that need to be spoken to. And I think the pathway of, you know, self-care and inner, deeper, you know, self-evaluation, being led by someone who's into skincare, who's thinking about this all the time, is a beautiful conversation to start with. You know what I'm saying? I think that that's what I mean by, like, there's certain voices that we do need. So no, there aren't enough podcasts. There needs to be certain ones that are going to tell you certain conversations, because you can't have every conversation everywhere, even though people try.
Right.
But no, I thank you. If you don't know, you should know. You can follow me everywhere at Kings_Memoirs. Make sure you follow the podcast at Simply King Pod. Make sure you follow my business page at Life is King as well, for any of your digital marketing and creative production needs. My bookings are open, so come get some. You know what I'm saying? Come get some of this consult. You feel me? Especially going into Q4. I know y'all gonna need something to finish your year off right. So I appreciate you. This has been the Soulfully Conscious Podcast for humans, simply being humans. I've been Rodney Perry. This has been Ericka Parker of Silkenn. And this has been Simply King. Peace.